I'm Ian Hill, founder of Ozpost International. Today we're going to build this deck with the OzDeck system. The OzDeck system utilizes a floating deck technique. Floating decks are common throughout North America and is an excellent system for building your deck. And this is basically how the system works. The main difference with a floating deck and other deck construction techniques is a floating deck is not attached to your structure. This could be your home right here, or you can have it out in the middle of your yard. In general, OzDeck is suitable for decks no higher than 8 feet off the ground. You'll also want to space your OzDecks no more than 7 feet in any direction. There's more information on our website at www.ozpost.com. I'd now like to review the tools you'll need for your deck project. This is a standard list of tools for the deck we're building. You may need additional tools if you have a customized deck or special features. When building with OzDeck, I recommend using a jackhammer for installation. It produces the strongest foundation and compacts the soil very well. Of course, you can also use a sledgehammer to drive your posts in if that's the method you decide to go with.
Jackhammer. A jackhammer is an easy-to-use tool, and they're available from any rental center throughout Canada and the USA. I prefer the electric models because they're easy to handle and operate. You will want to rent a larger electric model like the Bosch Brute, a Wacker, Makita, Hitachi, or DeWalt. Ozpost also offers our own jackhammer, the OzTools Model EL1100, and that's the one I'll be using today. The OzHammer OH01 is the special driver that fits into the jackhammer. You will also need a hammer spacer, HSP T4. The hammer spacer is simply an adapter for the OzHammer that fits the T4 850 Ozpost that we're driving today. Level. The most efficient level to use for driving Ozposts is a strap-on post level like this one. They are cost-effective and work very well. Post levels are available at any hardware store. You can also use a small spirit level, but these are not as efficient. Safety equipment: goggles, ear protection, work boots, pants, and gloves. 10-inch spikes. 36-inch driving stake. String line. Line level. Measuring tape. Plumb bob. Hammer. Drill. Saw. Pencil or marker. Square. 1.25" hole saw, drill bits, ratchet, sockets, and wrenches, 5-pound hammer.
Now I'd like to explain some of the parts of a deck. First, you've got your foundation. This is your OzDeck plate. Then in through the deck plate, you drive the Ozpost T4 850. Then you have your post, your saddle bracket. Your saddle bracket attaches the post to the beam. The beam is two 2x8s laminated together. On top of the beam rest your joists back here. The perimeter of the deck is called a rim joist. Then we have your deck boards, Oz railing, railing post, and pickets. I'm going to be using these terms throughout the video, so please make sure you review them.
The first step of any successful construction project is planning. Please refer to the construction specifications on our website to get proper spacing of posts for your specific project. In general, you will need to locate Ozposts no greater than 7 feet apart in any direction. You can have a maximum of 24 inches overhang on the outside perimeter. All specifications are based on beams and joists made of 2x8 pressure-treated material. We recommend having an assistant for any deck construction project. The materials are heavy and 2 people are best to get the job done safely and quickly. This video is intended to show you the basic techniques on how to build a deck with OzDeck. Of course, there are many different situations and designs for decks that we will not cover in this video, so you'll want to be sure to seek proper instruction for those special applications. I like to mark the basic shape of a deck on the ground so that we can see the general shape of the project. This also provides a framework so that you can be sure to have your stakes and string lines located outside the working area. The easiest way to accurately position deck plates is to run string lines spaced and leveled according to the spacing that you require. The most effective way to do this is to measure out from the home the correct distance where the beams are to be located. In this case, we want the deck to be parallel with the fence line, so we're using the fence line as our reference. If possible, it's easiest to drive your stakes well outside the deck outline so that they are not in the way during construction. Drive in metal or wood stakes in the ground with a hammer at the measured locations. Be sure that they're in the ground far enough so you can pull the string line tight. Next, you will tie a string line on one end and stretch it tight to the other stake. Use a line level to make sure that the string lines are level. After it's tied tight, you can fine-tune the level by driving a stake on the high side of the ground to establish level. Check the dimensions of the string line to the house to make sure that your spacing is correct. Make any adjustments if necessary. For this construction project, we are using the red door and the fence line as references for the beam locations and deck height. Because Ozpost is a freestanding deck system, there is no need to drill into your house to attach a ledger board. The look of a freestanding deck adjacent to your house is exactly the same as a deck that's physically attached to the house. The best part of a freestanding deck is that it does not rely on the house construction for any portion of the deck support, so there's no chance of it pulling away or falling off the house. For this reason, we're constructing this deck free from any structure so that there's no confusion that it's completely freestanding. Once you have the beam line set, you will need to run a string line on the edge of where the deck will go. First, drive a stake at the house exactly where the edge of the deck will be. With a large carpenter's square, position the other stake so that it's square to the house. I also recommend calculating the corner-to-corner dimensions with a tape measure to provide the most accurate location for the stake. To calculate this, you'll take the length times itself and the width times itself, and then find the square root of that number to find the length. So in this case, we're building a 12 by 16 deck. 16 times 16 plus 12 times 12 equals 400. The square root of 400 is 20, so the corner-to-corner dimension is 20 feet. After the corner stake is located, stretch a string line and tie securely. Double check that the string lines are square and make any adjustments if necessary. Carefully measure from the deck edge line the correct distance to locate the deck foundations. With a marker, mark on the string line the measurements that are required for proper spacing. After marking the string line, we will use a plumb bob to get the exact location on the ground where the deck plates will go. To use a plumb bob, locate the string of the plumb bob tight to the string line on the mark that you measured in the previous step. Locate the center of the deck where the plumb bob rests above the ground. The plumb bob is especially useful in areas that are unlevel. If the ground is very unlevel, it's a good idea to remove some soil in that area where the deck will go to make the connection area level. Once the location has been set, you can temporarily hold the deck in place with 10-inch spikes. You will remove the spikes after the Ozpost is installed, so don't drive them in all the way. The spikes are useful to help prevent the decks from moving during the construction process. After all of the decks are located, you can remove the beam string lines. Be sure to leave the deck edge string line in place because we will need it later to locate the beams correctly.